All right, so let's talk a little bit about caches, or at least my thoughts on caches. At this point, I have several caches placed, but they're all placed at or near my actual BOL, or bug out location. So now what I'm working on is backfilling some caches at intervals, approximately 10 to 15 mile intervals along the way, along several possible routes that I might take to my bug out location. So the point of these caches is they will be small caches and they will primarily have food and water in them. The main point of them is just to supplement my gear or supplement my food supplies on my way to my location. So this cache will serve two purposes for me. One, it will be one of my caches along the way, but two, it's going to be a little bit of an experiment. I'm going to place some items in here that I wouldn't think would necessarily do really well over time in a cache, but I want to actually see what happens to them. So this container I paid $18 for at a discount grocery store. It does have a leverage clasping lid on it with a retaining ring. It seems to be pretty durable plastic. It has a rubber seal inside the lid, and it has a nice lip for the lid to seal around. So next, I'll tell you a little bit about the items that I'm going to be placing in this cache that are the items that are actually meant to sustain me in the event of a bug out. So first of all, a roll of toilet paper. I'll put this inside a Ziploc bag and drop it in there. This is about 16 ounces of vitamin fortified juice drink, a gallon of water. There are 3 lighters there, a jar of peanut butter, a fruit cup, and then 3 main meal Mountain Houses, and then a scrambled eggs meal, and then a strawberries with granola meal. So the experimental items that I'm placing in this cache are your typical average cup of noodle soup. Then I'm placing 2 different kinds of canned food, a can of fruit and a can of refried beans. Then I'm going to place a box of instant rice in the cache in no wrapping at all. So this is just the loose rice in the cardboard box that it comes in. So I'm interested to see how that does over time. And then a Cliff Bar to see how that goes. So that's the container, the primary items in the cache, and the experimental items. Okay, that one's sealed up and ready to go.
Armstrong Williams is one of the spokesmen for the Carson campaign.
So the location I picked is one that's not really well trafficked, but it's fairly close to a road. And the reason why that is if I'm able to bug out of my vehicle, I can get pretty close to the cache with my car. In my mind, there's a couple of criteria for selecting a spot. One is making sure it's someplace that's not likely to get disturbed. 2, someplace that it's easy enough for me to access so that I can get to it the majority of the year, regardless of snow, weather conditions, etc. And then finally, it has to be someplace that's easy for me to find. So I'm going to get busy digging my hole, and I'll hit you guys back as I set it in the ground and cover a couple other things. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut a plug. I'm going to try to remove this top layer of roots and grasses and everything while keeping it all fairly well maintained. So when I'm refilling the hole, I can set that right on top, and I'll leave the ground looking the least amount disturbed as possible. Alright, I just set my container in there to kind of check the depth of the hole. And I've got the top of the container about 10 inches down from ground level. The contents of my cache are even lower than the top of it. So I think if I go 18 inches to the top of the cache, that'll put my contents in it, at least my liquid contents in it, about 24 inches below the surface, which should, unless we have sustained really cold temperatures, should keep it below the frost line and keep the contents from freezing. All right, I got my soil all filled back in. Now I'm gonna place the plug. All right, so there it is, it's in the ground, and I'll hit you guys back 12 months from now, dig it up, and we'll see what the contents of it look like. Or we'll see if it makes it the 12 months without being discovered. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hit me up with any comments, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Was that General Westmoreland and somebody associated with him were there, and they were honoring